You're not a good person because you're nice. Let me say that again. You're not a good person because you're nice. You're just agreeable, and agreeableness in the absence of principle is cowardice dressed up in virtue. We've confused kindness with niceness, and it's wreaking havoc on our integrity. You see, many people, especially young people, have been taught that to be nice is to be moral, to go along, to smile, to never challenge, to avoid conflict at all costs. But there is a deep danger in this, and it goes unnoticed because it feels like goodness. But let's break it down psychologically. When you're nice to everyone indiscriminately, you're not being moral, you're being manipulative. You're hiding behind pleasantries because you're afraid to confront, you're afraid to be disliked, you're afraid to speak the truth when it might cause a ripple, and that fear, when it dictates your character, is not virtuous. It's corrosive. Now, this is important. I'm not telling you to be cruel. I'm not saying become hostile or bitter. What I am saying is that there's a difference, a profound one, between being nice and being good. The good person tells the truth even when it's uncomfortable. The good person draws boundaries. The good person says no when it needs to be said. And the good person is willing to be disliked for the sake of what's right. Niceness is passive, goodness is active, niceness appeases, goodness confronts, niceness enables dysfunction, goodness demands responsibility, and here's the kicker, you can't be truly compassionate until you've developed the capacity to cause harm, and then chosen not to. Until you've integrated your potential for aggression, for anger, for dominance, and brought it under control. Your niceness is weakness, not strength. Nietzsche said, "Beware of those in whom the will to punish is strong." But I would add, beware of those who hide resentment behind a smile. The world is full of people who nod their heads and stab backs, who say yes and mean no, who accommodate while quietly rotting with bitterness. So what do? You grow teeth. You learn to speak. You tell the truth, clearly and with conviction. You stop being nice and you start being real. And when you do that, you'll find something paradoxical. People will trust you more, respect you more, and those who don't, well, they never respected you anyway. They like the doormat, not the person. Don't aim to be nice. Aim to be good. Aim to be strong. Aim to be someone worth taking seriously, because the world doesn't need more agreeable cowards. It needs men and women of courage, clarity, and character. Here are 6 important key points from the speech Stop Being Nice to Everyone. 1. Niceness, goodness, being nice is not the same as being moral or good. Niceness often stems from fear of conflict or rejection, not from principled strength. Many people mistakenly believe that being nice automatically makes them a good person. This belief is deeply flawed. Niceness, in most cases, is about social smoothness. It's about making others feel comfortable, avoiding conflict, and presenting oneself as agreeable. But this is not the same thing as moral goodness. Goodness requires strength, clarity, and the willingness to stand up for what is right, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. A nice person might smile, nod, and go along with something they know is wrong just to avoid confrontation. They may suppress their true thoughts, stay silent in the face of injustice, or enable harmful behavior because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. That's not moral courage, that's avoidance. It's weakness disguised as virtue. Moral goodness demands integrity. It requires a person to be honest, to hold boundaries, and to act from principle rather than fear. Sometimes being good means being firm. Sometimes it means saying things that make others uncomfortable. And sometimes it means standing alone, taking criticism, or losing approval. A genuinely good person is willing to take those risks because they are committed to something deeper than simply being liked. Niceness is often transactional. People are nice because they want to be liked in return. But true morality isn't concerned with image. It's concerned with doing what is right. And ironically, people who always try to be nice often become resentful because they suppress their needs and values to maintain a facade of harmony. Over time, this leads to frustration, dishonesty, and even passive aggression. In short, niceness is about appearances. Goodness is about substance. The two are not the same, and confusing them leads to a life of compromise and quiet self-betrayal. Being good means more than being liked. It means being real, and that takes courage. 2. Unprincipled niceness is cowardice. When you're nice just to avoid confrontation or disapproval, you're not being virtuous, you're being afraid. This passive behavior can be manipulative and dishonest. When people act nice just to avoid conflict or discomfort, what they're really displaying isn't virtue, it's fear. Many individuals are raised to believe that avoiding arguments and keeping everyone happy is the moral high ground. But this behavior is often driven by a deep reluctance to face disapproval or negative emotions. Underneath the surface of chronic niceness is a desire to stay safe, to be accepted, and to escape the burden of confrontation. This isn't moral strength, it's self-protective cowardice. Being agreeable at all costs often means compromising your values, silencing your voice, and allowing others to cross your boundaries. You nod when you should speak up. You say yes when you mean no. You pretend everything is fine when it clearly isn't. These choices may feel polite in the moment, but over time they hollow you out. They create a version of yourself that's false, passive, and resentful. And worst of all, they allow dysfunction, whether in relationships, workplaces, or society, to go unchallenged. True courage isn't found in keeping the peace no matter what. It's found in standing your ground when it would be easier to back down. It's found in risking discomfort for the sake of truth. When you're unwilling to say what needs to be said because you don't want to upset anyone, you're not being kind. You're abandoning responsibility. Nice people often become enablers. They enable toxic behavior because they're afraid of being seen as harsh. They avoid difficult conversations not because they don't know what's wrong, but because they don't want to deal with the fallout. But moral strength demands that you confront what needs confronting, even when it's unpleasant. Otherwise, you're not helping anyone. You're just protecting yourself while pretending it's for others. That's not kindness. It's fear wearing a smile. 3. True goodness requires courage. Good people set boundaries, speak the truth, and are willing to be disliked for doing what's right. Moral strength involves action and confrontation when necessary. Goodness is not passive. It is not about simply staying quiet, getting along, or doing what makes others comfortable. It is active, intentional, and often difficult. A truly good person must possess the courage to speak up, to take a stand, and to say no when it matters. This is not easy. It requires the strength to tolerate conflict, the willingness to be misunderstood, and the resilience to face rejection without backing down from what is right. Too often, people confuse goodness with being agreeable or soft. They think that to be good means to always say yes, to avoid hurting feelings, and to keep things pleasant. But in reality, this kind of behavior often enables problems to persist. When people are afraid to set boundaries or challenge harmful actions, they allow dysfunction to spread unchecked. The refusal to rock the boat can make things worse, not better. A good person draws lines. They are not afraid to disappoint others if it means being honest or protecting what's important. They confront difficult issues even when it feels uncomfortable. They understand that real kindness is sometimes found in tough conversations, not in empty reassurances. Being good doesn't mean never making anyone upset. It means doing what's right even when others won't thank you for it. Moreover, goodness involves responsibility. You don't get to call yourself a good person just because you avoid causing harm. You must also be willing to prevent harm, to speak truth, and to act when silence would be easier. That takes courage, and courage is the backbone of moral character. Without it, goodness becomes hollow, a facade. Real goodness demands clarity, strength, and above all, the courage to uphold what is true and just, even when it costs you comfort or approval. 4. Controlled strength is more virtuous than powerlessness. You can't be truly good unless you've developed the capacity for aggression and chosen to restrain it. Strength under control is what makes someone trustworthy. Being harmless is not the same as being good. Many people mistake a lack of aggression for virtue, but there is no real moral value in weakness. If you are incapable of causing harm, your behavior isn't virtuous, it's limited. Real goodness comes from having power and choosing not to misuse it. It comes from developing your strength, your ability to be assertive, to defend yourself and others, to say no, and then controlling that strength with intention and discipline. There's a dangerous idea circulating in modern culture that suggests that being soft, passive, or non-confrontational is the ideal. But that kind of softness is not moral superiority. It's often a result of fear, insecurity, or emotional underdevelopment. You can't claim to be peaceful just because you're incapable of fighting. That's not peace, that's helplessness. A good person must be dangerous in potential, but peaceful in practice. The capacity for aggression, when consciously restrained, becomes a powerful force for good. It's the person who can stand up and fight, but chooses not to unless necessary, who is truly trustworthy. Because their goodness is not based on inability, it's based on a deliberate ethical choice. They know what they're capable of, and they choose to direct that capacity toward order, justice, and protection. Developing this inner strength is essential. It's what allows you to set firm boundaries, to confront what's wrong, and to protect what's right. Without it, you're just hoping the world treats you kindly while being powerless to act if it doesn't. Strength without cruelty, power without abuse. That's the kind of character that leads to real morality. So don't aim to be harmless. Aim to be strong, capable, and in control, because only then can your goodness actually mean something. 5. People respect the real, not the pleasant. Being authentic, even when it's uncomfortable, earns deeper respect and trust than fake niceness. People can sense sincerity and backbone. People often assume that being liked is the same as being respected, but that's not true. Niceness may earn short-term approval, but it doesn't create lasting trust. What truly earns respect is authenticity, being real, honest, and consistent in who you are and what you stand for, even when it's uncomfortable. When someone is constantly agreeable, avoids conflict, and tells people only what they want to hear, others may like them on the surface, but deep down, they don't take them seriously. Authenticity, by contrast, can be challenging. Speaking the truth might make some people uncomfortable. Drawing boundaries might upset someone. Saying no, disagreeing, or challenging someone's behavior may lead to criticism or disapproval. But when you do these things from a place of clarity and integrity, people recognize that you are someone with principles. You're not pretending to be someone you're not just to fit in. You're being honest even when it costs you something. Over time, people respect those who are consistent and clear more than those who are just agreeable. They know where you stand. They may not always like what you say, but they'll trust that you mean it. And that trust is far more valuable than momentary popularity. The reality is, not everyone will like you. No matter how nice you are, some people will disagree with you, judge you, or misunderstand you. If your identity is built on being liked by everyone, you'll constantly compromise your values to maintain approval. But if your identity is rooted in truth, strength, and self-respect, you'll attract relationships and opportunities built on authenticity, not performance. Being real may not make you popular with everyone, but it makes you trustworthy, and in the long run, people trust and follow those who are honest, not those who just try to keep everyone happy. 6. The world needs strong, principled individuals. Society doesn't benefit from agreeable pushovers. It thrives on individuals with courage, integrity, and the willingness to speak hard truths. The world doesn't need more people who are simply agreeable. It needs individuals with the courage to stand up for what is right, even when it's difficult or unpopular, being nice in every situation, avoiding conflict, and keeping the peace at all costs may feel virtuous, but it often results in passivity and silence when action is needed most. In times of injustice, dysfunction, or moral confusion, agreeable people tend to look the other way. They remain quiet not because they don't care, but because they don't want to disrupt harmony, but harmony built on silence is fragile and false. Society advances not because people stay comfortable, but because courageous individuals take a stand. History is filled with examples of those who refused to remain passive, people who challenged the status quo, spoke the truth, and risked being hated for doing what they believed was right. These are not people who were merely pleasant or well-liked. They were principled, strong, and often controversial. They made sacrifices for integrity, and in doing so, they shaped the world around them. The strength required for that kind of impact doesn't come from trying to please everyone. It comes from deep inner conviction, resilience, and a willingness to face discomfort. A person who is always concerned with being liked cannot lead. They cannot challenge, confront, or correct, because all of those actions come with resistance and risk. But the world desperately needs more of those who are willing to bear that burden, people who value truth over approval and principle over popularity. Without such people, we drift, problems go unaddressed, boundaries are erased, and the cost is paid in silence, resentment, and regret. So instead of aiming to be nice, aim to be courageous, because real change, real progress, and real respect are only earned through strength and moral clarity. Clean your room, start there. Master your chaos before criticizing the world. Speak the truth even if your voice shakes. Stop waiting to be ready. Act now imperfectly. Take responsibility for everything you can, no matter how small. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Set goals that make you stretch, not shrink. Say what you mean what you say. Surround yourself with people who want the best for you. And above all, be someone worth relying on. Your life won't change through comfort. It changes through discipline, courage, and brutal honesty.